Hello, everybody. Dr. Lonnie Stewart here from the Healthcare Education Transformation Podcast. Are you a physical therapy student about to start studying for the National Physical Therapy Examination? Or maybe you're a professor, or program director, or clinical instructor who teaches DPT students preparing for the NPTE? Either way, we would recommend checking out our sponsor, NPTE Final Frontier, and the community they've built around preparing for and succeeding on the NPTE. That exam and the preparation that goes along with it can be long, tedious, difficult, and stress-inducing, but it doesn't have to be. NPTE Final Frontier has the tactics and resources to help address all of the usual barriers. They even have scholarships to help with NPTE study courses, FSBPT registration fees, and even research opportunities. And if that's not enough, they're even donating to the very first annual HET Podcast Scholarship to be awarded at the end of every year. Go to npteff.com for all of the details and use code HET for 10% off all purchases. Links to both the NPTE Final Frontier and their scholarship options are available in the show notes. And now, let's get ready to learn.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Teach Me Something Tuesday episode of the Healthcare Education Transformation Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. F. Scott Field, and we're here to talk about a topic today that is on both sides of the spectrum, both working clinically and in academia, and even as a student in learning. And that topic is burnout. We've been hearing about it a lot over the last couple of years in the field of physical therapy, but also in the world in general. And I think COVID really sped things up as far as people recognizing that healthcare clinicians were heading towards burnout. And burnout was in the ICD-10 codes, and it is now actually in the ICD-11 codes with a little bit more detailed definition nowadays. But it is recognized by the World Health Organization as an illness or a classification of a disease. The first thing we're going to do here, we're going to take the next couple Teach Me Something Tuesdays to talk about burnout because we do feel that it's so important. And today we'll just go into a little bit of the definition and how it's defined. Then we'll look a little bit at some of the symptoms and recognizing it and how to spot it. And then we'll finish up with some of the ways to manage or treat burnout. And so the textbook definition of burnout is a syndrome conceptualized as resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. It is characterized by three dimensions: feeling of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one's job, or feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job, and last but not least, reduced professional efficacy. Again, this can be looked at as a healthcare clinician working in the workplace in the clinic. It can be looked at from a professor's lens where they're working in a workplace of academia. But if you think about it, it can also be looked at in our students, because realistically in graduate school, students' full-time job and profession, for the most part, is being a student. So burnout can really occur in all of those areas. With regards to job and occupation specifically, it is one of those things where you can feel it and you can sense it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's affecting you. So it could be one of those things where it's an underlying diagnosis of you're just not really sure what it is, can't really put your finger on it, or it could be very blatant and it's hit you in the face like a ton of bricks and you just recognize, hey, I'm burning out. Burnout is specifically pinned to occupational context. And so again, doesn't creep out into other areas of life. Burnout generally would look more depression or maybe anxiety or something like that in the real world outside of occupation. So burnout is specifically looked at as a syndrome within the workplace. So that's just a broad definition of burnout, and it gives you a little bit of context. And like I said, the reason that we can consider it in our job clinically is because that is the workplace of a lot of our healthcare clinicians, but also in the world of academia, where a lot of our professors and or administrators are in the workplace feeling burnout and experiencing burnout. It can look at our students because, again, that really is a full-time job as a graduate student. So Keep that in mind when trying to think about and conceptualize burnout. And again, defining it is really the first step. Hope that was helpful to you. Hope you think a little bit more about the topic of burnout. Like I said, over the next couple episodes, we'll talk about how to search for burnout and look for burnout and signs and symptoms, and then how to go about treating it. Hope that was helpful, and we'll see you on the next one. Well, I hope that episode was entertaining as much as it was informational and educational. If you enjoyed this episode or any of our past episodes, we ask you to please subscribe to the podcast and leave us a rating and review. And please share out the episodes to those who you feel may be able to benefit from them. We also urge you to follow us on all social media platforms at HET Podcast and let us know what topics or experts you would like to hear from in future episodes. And just as a reminder, none of the information on today's show should be considered medical advice. It's simply infotainment or edutainment to help educate our audience. For medical advice, we always advise you to reach out to your preferred medical professionals, and we'll see you on the next show.